Alright guys, so this is another Patreon request, and as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon where you guys can start sending me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. Remember, it's the third tier. It'll allow you to send me requests for videos to do here on YouTube, as well as check out all the other exclusive videos over on Patreon. I just did a Who Would Win match. I also did a non-comic lineup involving the Legion of Monsters. Yeah, so good stuff. Those are the recent ones. But yeah, so let's get started with this crossover, and this one comes from Tom Hibbert, who basically asked me to do something that I'm sure someone has done as like parody or whatnot, and that is a crossover between the Creature from the Black Lagoon crossing over with Black Lagoon the anime. So, as I call it, the Creature versus Black Lagoon. So let's get into it. So this crossover begins with the Black Lagoon Company being getting a job. Like, their job is to help secure a cargo ship that is privately chartered, and it's making a stopover in Roanoke before it makes its way to Japan. Like, it's a stopover, and they're basically like, we need like armed guards, and they're like, what are you hauling? Drugs, guns? What do you do? And they're like, just exotic animals, like exotic specimens. And Revy's just like, goddamn zoo. Do I look like a fucking zookeeper to you people? So her, Rock, and Dutch, Rock is forced to go because Revy's just like, you're coming with me, asshole. If I have to look at animal shit, I have to be stuck with you. So the three of them are on there while Benny runs diagnostics and overhead. He's the guy in the chair, after all. So the three of them are on the boat, and they're supposed to like guard. They said, we want you to guard our specimens. And they're like, what kind of specimens? Are you, like, running illegal animals? Is you part of the animal trade? And they're like, no. We just have, we found a specimen in the Amazon months ago. Something that we thought was extinct, but has since, we found it. Like, we found it, and we're trying to get it secretly to Japan, to our colleagues in Japan, so we could, we can test it further and reveal it to the world. And they're like, why didn't you just fly it? And they're like, it's no way it could have survived the flight. So we had to do this by ship. And they're being very hush-hush about it. And even Revy's starting to get, curious about what cargo it is, because she's looked in the cargo hold and she's like, there's no, like, if you're, like, tell me something, Rock. If you're transporting animals, wouldn't you have cages and put them in cages and have food for these animals to make sure they, at least some of them, survive the trip? And he's like, yeah, you're right. Why would they do that? Why would they just have why would they only have X amount of food for certain they'd only have food for them, and maybe some like fish and vegetables. It's almost like they're carrying only one animal, and they're like, so where's the animal? So Revy and Rock, being curious, go down to the deepest parts of the ship and discover a massive water tank. And they're like, what did they find? A giant. And she's like, Revy's like, what the fuck did they find? Like a giant snake, a shark. What could it have been? And that's when it swims up to the tank's edge and looks at them and just like slashes at the tank. It's the Gill Man. So, and yes, this is the same Gill. This isn't a different Gill Man. This is the same Gill Man that was in the original movie. Now, the scientists are like, oh, you weren't supposed to see that. What have you done? You've ruined all this research. And they're like, what the fuck is that? And they're like, we found this creature in the Amazon. It was supposed to have died in Florida in 1956 after some other scientists had experimented with it and made it human. They had taken it from the Amazon, brought it there, and made it a breathing creature. And it was said that it became so depressed that it walked into the water to drown to death. But it turns out it didn't drown. Instead, it found like a boat. It found its way there, and as it did, its body was hyper-evolving. It turns out that the Gill Man has an ability to hyper-evolve in terms of great distress. and it's evolved massively. Not only does it look like the Gill-Man, it looks more monstrous. It's bigger, it's more robust, it's got a larger build to it, it's got sail fins now. It hyper-evolved in order to survive the trip back from Florida all the way back to the Amazon. But by then, when it got back, the lagoon was gone. So now it's just been stalking around in the rivers of the Amazon, hunting and killing animals and humans to feed on. So Revy thinks this is thoroughly fucked, and at that point, that's when the creature, they're like, we can't let you tell the world about this, so, this is our discovery, and they actually pull a gun on Revy, and she's like, bad fucking move, and she shoots them. She kills 2 of them. One guy freaks out and shoots the glass. The creature busts out from the glass, now that the glass has been weakened, and it gets out and just starts killing and eating its captors until it jumps off the ship and starts swimming out into the open sea. And they're like, where do you think it's going to go? And he's like, well, we didn't get very far from Roanapur, so I've got a pretty good fucking guess, Revy. So they get off with a little help from a lifeboat they find, and they have to rush back to Roanapur before this creature gets too close to shore, because now they're like, oh, Revy's like, we're a bunch of goddamn monster hunters now. That's amazing. So the creature, the Gill-Man, actually makes it back to Roanapur. It swims to Roanapur and is actually near the torpedo boat where Benny's working. But Benny's not just there. Jane is with him. Yeah, Greenback Jane, his girlfriend. And she's just taking a nap in their quarters. The Gill-Man climbs up onto the boat, sees her, and is like, woman. Grabs her and tries to take her away. Benny tries to fight it, but the creature slashes his face and escapes into the ocean. By that point, as it's trying to flee back into the sea with its new mate, Revy dives in after them, guns a-blazing, shooting at it it's the first time I've ever killed a fucking monster before. So they fight the 2 battle underwater until Revy uses a harpoon gun and the creature just freaks out because it remembers being shot with a harpoon gun way back in 1954 when it was first discovered. Gets shot, and it's struggling to swim away. Revy just keeps shooting at and Rock's watching this all happen under the sea, and he's like, Revy, just let it go! For God's sake, just let it go! And she forces it to go up to the surface. She grabs her cutlass and just blows the thing's brains out. And he's like, why did you do that? And she's like, cry me a fucking river, Rock. Is Jane okay? And she's like, yeah, she's fine, but it was the last of its kind. You didn't have to make it suffer any longer. And she's like, if anything, I think I put it out of its misery. So it ends with the creature, as always in every of the movies, sinking to the bottom of the sea. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much the Creature from the Black Lagoon crossover. Once again, I'd like to thank Tom Hibbert for this Patreon request, as well as continued patronage. And you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of this? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope y'all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.